Hello friends, family, and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to another high level best of 3 from the GSL. Today in the bottom left as our red Terran player is lacking a barracks, but it is GUMIHO. And in the top right as our blue Zerg, it's going to be Shin over here. A Terran versus Zerg, and our first barracks is going to be positioned right around the corner. Shin actually has a decent chance of finding this. I think he just saw that SCV and now is actually going to spot the barracks. Now, this is not the worst thing if it goes unscouted, but scouting it earlier I think might have some benefits. We're going to have to wait and see. I guess you can cut a worker or something. So usually this would be an extra worker. Actually, usually build 2 more workers at this point. So maybe this was actually quite nice here for sure. Getting that quick scout allows you to turn these 2 larvae into some Zerglings earlier on. And as a result, this Reaper might potentially deal less damage. Now, this is a very non-committed proxy barracks. There's no second gas with this. This is just a single barracks, single Reaper. It's just meant to deal some damage. Make sure that this gold can't be mined from immediately. As the Reaper now shows up, it's going to try to get a kill here on one of these drones. Drones need to be pulled, turn into spores. Another drone under some heavy fire here, as these Lynx will end up fighting this Reaper. Spore gets cancelled. And really no damage taken here by Shin. So a very solid start. I mean, he lost some minerals due to the cancellation of the spores. Now it's going to try saturating this base over here. As it has the gold patches, you want to send drones there as soon as you can, because they just gather more minerals. Reaper still scouting around, making sure no fast third base is going to go down, as that does seem to be here in the stars for Shin. At least in his interpretation of the stars. He definitely wants to get this base out. Lynx now moving over. Let's see how fast GUMIHO is going to be. Reaper does get activated in time. Decent enough control. Tries to block this hatchery with this Reaper. The Queen is about to show up, and that's going to be the end of this little Reaper party. Jetpack Man will be sent back home. This is kind of interesting, by the way. We see a full pull out of gas. So we see Shin playing with expectations a little bit here. And this is something that very often happens at the high level. And sometimes it gets missed, sometimes it gets caught. But here we see no metabolic boost being researched. Hell, we even had a full pull out of gas temporarily, which means more mineral eco. More mineral eco just means more eco in general. Everything that boosts your economy requires minerals. Gas is really just a tech resource or an army resource. It doesn't do a whole lot for your economy. So if you can get away with cutting gas for longer without taking any damage, that's generally a very good thing, and so far to me it seems like Shin has been getting away with it. He has skipped some of the gas mining earlier on, skipped the metabolic boost, allowing for perhaps more drones to be constructed, and now he's going to transition into roaches. Roaches are going to be kind of the unit that keeps him safe, the safekeepers of this relatively greedy early game. Meanwhile, we have GUMIHO opening up with a triple CC Viking Hellion. This is an extremely standard build. This is the only thing that is perhaps a little bit suspicious. It's gonna be Banshee. Okay, triple gas out already. So that smells very mechy. That smells extremely mechy. And important to note that 3 gases have been scouted. Now, just because something smells like mech doesn't mean it has to be mech. I've seen GUMIHO in the past do things like this. Oh, look at this. Ooh, it's gonna be a little bit of an upgrade rush. So that's why he wanted a lot of gas early on. To add these double E-bays much quicker. We're now gonna get our barracks down as well. That's the beauty of those boosts on the gold, of course. Is that these SCVs mine a bit more. You can afford your mineral structures just a bit quicker. Then quickly go into the gas and turn that gas into upgrades. So I absolutely love the execution here of this build by GUMIHO. Still gonna go for the double Banshee. Stopped after 6 Hellions already. Double E-bay. It's gonna hit one hell of a timing here. I think 1-1 is going to line up with that combat shield finish, if I'm not mistaken, in this particular build order. And that's gonna hit like a truck. Now, roaches are gonna be the defensive tool. The moment that GUMIHO figures this out, I'm expecting this factory to throw down a tech lab and try for some tank production. That seems to me like the most logical next step. If he actually goes for serious reactored Widowmine production here, he's just gonna die to any type of roach max. Another important thing to note here is that Shin is going for a roach speed rush without any upgrades. There's no Evo chambers anywhere. And he's going for that Cloud Reconstitution. Okay, this is such an odd build order. He's now getting a Spire. and then into double Evo chamber. So I think the roaches are a fake. They're a distraction here. They're meant to confuse Gumiho. And so far, I mean, they are doing an okay job at that, I guess. These roaches are out. Ooh, now could potentially spot the fact that Metabolic Boost is researching. You do see the pool move if that's the case. He's not going to spot that quite yet, though. This has to be really confusing for Gumiho. You always kind of got to think about what Gumiho has seen and what he's going to be responding to. Gumiho right now believes he's truly responding to a pure roach play. He hasn't seen any Evo chambers. Okay, he's seen one Evo chamber. Yeah, so for him it actually looks like a 1-1 type of roach attack. Well, in reality, it's going to be range upgrades here, which is confusing and surprising. But there's going to be some Mutalisk behind this. No, wait, it got cancelled. Okay. Complete switch up here. So I guess the plan now is to go for some Roach Ravager play into Ling Baneling, seems to be the case. So opening up with Carapace range and then switching into melee and Carapace upgrades afterwards. This is something that players have been doing in the past. Kind of this Roach Ravager force allowing you some safety. Gumiho still roaming around here with these Banshees, looking for kills on really just anything. Creep tumors, maybe a drone that tries to take a 5th base. Now gonna get a bit of a push forward. I think this is just to secure the high ground, not so much to truly push out. Gumiho is gonna be the player that makes the first true move here. Gonna send 2 Medivacs out, instantly get spotted. It's not the end of the world because these Medivacs, they're not planning to do some surprise doom drop. They just really want to clear some creep. They're basically the version of the like they're basically Banshees on steroids, which is actually kind of true because they do use Stim. Like they just want to deal like a little bit of damage. They're not here to win the game. Sometimes they do, just like sometimes Banshees win games, but they're more here to just control the pace of the Zerg. Ragnarok kind of slow with the creep threat so far, has managed to push up this high ground. Post you the map, of course, with a goal here as well. That's going to give a massive boost economically here for our Zerg player. Then we're going to see Carapace plus melee. We see the Hive come out as well and the 2-2 upgrades. Combat Shield is now about to finish up. When the 2-2 upgrades are about halfway done. Does need to pick up these Marines at some point. There we go. Without Combat Shield, they just don't trade as well. The fort base is now being set up. And it feels like it's a time here for Gumiho to start moving out and try and do something. Wants to take out these rocks, as these Biles are obviously not going to hit the Banshees. Queen's out of position to deal with this, and as a result, a couple of these tumors might just end up falling. Are going to require 3 shots from the Banshees. So it takes too long, and now these Banshees not being controlled. One is going to go down. Second one might stay alive if he decides to move it back right now. Baneling count practically non-existent. Couple did more here on the top side. So double drop very close to the main army. Is going to try to clear some more of this left side creep. This is something that Gumiho really seems to focus on heavily. 2-2 is about to finish up as well as hitting sharp as a knife. As he's moving in. Left side creep still very important because that's the flank that Shin probably wants to use. Banshee is going to be microed out of the way. And it's going to now check the far right side, making sure no flanks come from over there. One more big scan in forward. We still have that creep on the left, and this is the only area where Shin really can flank from. So far not setting up. Is actually going to have to give up this 5th base, or this 4th base, and that makes the 5th the 4th, and the 6th the 5th. Hate to see it. 2 more command centers coming out as well. Ghost Academy now gets thrown down. We have 8 barracks out already. We have a single starport. It's Gumiho taking firm control of this game. Only on 64 workers, so relatively low worker count. But it does mean that his army is huge. And it also counts for something. And his army is freaking huge. 56 Marines to 22 Marauders. Only 4 tanks. Skip the second factory. To go for a bigger Bioforce. Loses his sensor tower. And these roaches will also end up dying. And this position is just nasty. And I don't quite see how Shin is going to maneuver out of this. Now going to clear a little bit more creep on that top side. And here we go. Here comes an attack. 1 Blinding Cloud, 2 Blinding Clouds. That tank's in the far back though. As Viper's running dry here on energy. 1 tank out of the 2 there stays alive as well. This one absolutely god-awful for Shin. The one good thing for Shin is that he has a massive bank. This army moving over towards the left is going to fight off creep. About to have 3-3 as well. Shin now starting to add his first Ultralisk. As a fusion core is on the way, Ghost Academy starts researching nukes as well. Is that the first Ghost Academy or do you have multiples? We just have a single one. 2 more factories coming down, extra orbitals. So despite the low worker count, Gumiho finding fiscal space here to actually add a couple of command centers, add extra infrastructure altogether. And it means that if these orbitals end up finishing, which they will, with the added in muling and scanning, life's going to be much easier here for Gumiho, while maintaining a very large army supply. Does the army consist of? Still only 2 tanks. Factory unit count is not great. 3-3 not quite done yet either. Here come Banelings rolling in. This is a gnarly area to attack in though. Kind of choky. One of these orbitals falling quite low. It's not even going to go down. And with this concave that Gumiho managed to set up on the right side as well, it's gonna definitely push this back. There's only a single Ultra remaining. A lot of Ravagers and Roaches, which are very supply inefficient. Creep has disappeared altogether here from this right side of the map. Actually, just in general, there's almost no creep anymore. It's like 12 tumors or so total. Bailing's now getting targeted down as well by the Marine Marauder Force. As Vipers coming in from the side. Huge EMP connect with all of them. 2 snipes going down as well as that 2 Vipers out of the 3 will end up falling. No mines or tanks to help out against the Pains. Splits are good enough though, as Gumiho's gonna stay alive. He continues stimming on with his Bio Force and he's about to clean up here. This base went down. The gold base hasn't been rebuilt yet. Gumiho's now taking his own gold. He is pushing in quite far. The Ultralisk count is at 4. Can they connect with this army is the only question that really matters. And the answer is somewhat actually. As Shin potentially pushing this army off creep at least a little bit. Marauder count has dwindled as more Marines are trying to reinforce. But I don't really see a future in this game anymore here for Shin. He's only 59 workers against the 70. This base on the left side is now going up. It's turning into a planetary. Both of these orbitals stayed alive. We're at 70 workers. Like, Gumiho is just banging it out right now. I would love to see both the high-sec auto-tracking as well as the armor upgrade for buildings would definitely be helpful. Because it feels like the only play Shin has right now is go for some type of attack. He's just going to get pulled apart otherwise with all these fights of creeps. Tanks in the back helping out. Can they target down these Banes? Target fire is not good there off the tanks. Banelings will just end up falling kind of naturally by bursting into tanks here. But this was a fight that went much better here for Shin than it ever should have. Part of the reason is because a lot of Marines are of course on the right side here. But single Ultra is actually going to deal with this. Gumiho kind of throwing this game out of the window right now. What felt impossible only 35 seconds ago is now kind of happening, where Shin is dealing a lot of damage, staking out a bunch of workers. That command center going down is a big deal, because there's no backup command center. We have some orbitals that can technically fly over, but that is usually not quite what you want to do. Marauder counts only at 5, tank 1, ghost 1. Medevac count is very high. I'll give him that. Caduceus Reactor has finished up as well. That's going to be nice, but I mean, there's plenty of medevacs already. Make it out what you will. Here comes a snipe on that Viper. The only snipe available. I think these Biles killed 2 medevacs and a tank. That's a pretty big deal. Marauder count still extremely small. Shin actually kind of pushing this army back, which is insane given the fact that he's down in supply right now. But this army is just complete balls here for Gumiho. He's going to try to kite back. A single infestor here could do so much work, but there's not even a single infestor. Ultra splits off, starts going after the SCVs as Marauders are just being taken out. Shin taking a supply lead here in the game again. 135 to 110. This is an absolutely idiotic game, honestly. It really is. Gumiho with an almost unlosable position and can't get himself to just calm down for a second. Sit back, relax, build some freaking tanks and some ghosts. Because this is not an army out of Shin that performs well against higher tech Terran units. This is an army that performs okay against kind of a mid-game Terran army. And that is really what we're working here right now for Gumiho. This Ultra might end up falling due to these tank shots. It's gonna stay alive. That's a pretty big deal because there's not that many Ultras still around. 60 works to 53. This 5th base for Gumiho still not going down. We now have an orbital flying over towards the far right. The planetary is under some fire as well. We have another push coming in. Ultra goes down. That's real nice. 68 army supply to 89. 5 Marines in this medevac. Should not be capable of really doing anything. Do we have adrenal glands? Yeah, we do. We have all the upgrades except +3 melee. And I guess there's still a decent force of Ravagers, so not having any extra range upgrades also sucks. But I understand that not to be the priority here. That makes a lot of sense. I just love to see just a single Infestor here. I think it would be so freaking useful. It really would be. Even without Burrow, it's just nice to be capable of throwing a fungal on this type of army. Marauder count now is growing, and that is scary, because both the 2 units that will need to do it here in this game are going to be the Ultra and the Baneling, and both of these units are not very efficient against higher Marauder counts. Liberators also being added in, which I think is a good call. These higher tech units that really require a specialized response, which Shin currently doesn't really have the funds for to create these specialized units. Pneumatized Carapace, the Overlord speed is being researched. Have we seen any nukes yet, by the way? No, we still have that nuke available in this Ghost Academy. This game has gone absolutely bonkers, by the way. What a fun game. A very calm first 6 minutes, but now almost action-packed since then. Just constant action back and forth. We're gonna have a single Ghost moving out. It's gonna come from the side with a sniper here on a Ravager. Does get to take it out. Valves try to clear that orbital. Does not work. As Gumiho once again pulling ahead in supply by about 20. Adding in more tanks, adding in more Ghost. This base is not a planetary. Important to note. Ravagers just using their biles and their range attack from a distance, making sure this base can't be mined from. Vipers have been added in. We now have 4 Infestors, as well as Burrow being researched. I really do like that. I think that's such a good call here. It's also going to be the tool that needs to be used here to win fights. Gumiho catches a portion of the army here. With those concussive shells, of course. Well, actually, concussive doesn't matter that much. I feel like you one-shot these banelings most of the time anyway. Maybe got 1 or 2 extra. Still, it's nice. It's a good pick-off. How many Ultras do we have total? We have 3 Ultras total. 4 Infestors. The problem is just 9 Ghosts, 18 Marauders. That's a serious army now. It's just a maxed out army that we're working with for the Terran player. Yes, there's a lot of Marines in there. But that's also not that bad against these higher Ling Bane counts. All the snipes coming down. Not quite sure what they hit. Could try and go for some of these Banes actually. Wouldn't completely mind that. More and more command centers as well being added in, and Gumiho is just taking control of this game now. And I mean, he's kind of given it away before, and perhaps you could say Shin with some good comebacks, but I don't know. Oh, here comes a Burrow. That's 4 Ghosts that get caught. Vipers coming in from the back, and we get an EMP. EMP is not in time. 1 Blinding Cloud is good. Shin is actually just running over this army. Half of the force of the active bioforce wasn't in this engagement. Ghost coming in with snipes from the side. Gumiho just losing a lot of supply here. Does have a bank to be capable of rebuilding. And I'm not sure if Shin has enough units here to just kind of march on in. I think the answer is going to be no, not really. I don't think he can just march through this. Although a lot of supply here is in these medevacs. Infestors being ready to that. No, it's going to return back home. This was a terrible fight once more for Gumiho. This left side base extremely vulnerable. Tanks on the high ground, really the only thing keeping that alive. The tanks on the high ground are pretty good though, I'll give you that. And it's not like there's a link count of 12, you know, 1200 or something. Like 12,000 links just streaming up onto the high ground. It's not going to be the case. So it's actually going to be frustrating to deal with these tanks. Like they deal a couple of shots and you just start losing stuff. Ooh, Infestor does get scanned. Managed to get to safety. That's a big mistake here. That is potentially a very costly error. Ooh. That was an Burrow. Does only manage to hit a single one. That Ghost is going to end up falling. Gumiho once again moving out further and further on the map. The one thing we could say he's been lacking this game is just factory units. He's only lost 14 tanks in total in this game. And right now I think he only has 4 tanks total. So yeah, that's a very low tank production here out of Gumiho, which is quite frankly a bit surprising. Oh, here we go. Moving back. One siege tank unsieged on the left side. Ghost not really participating in the fight either. Here come the banelings rolling in forward. Can the ultras get some good connections with these units? One ultra was distracted on the left side. Biles raining down on top of these liberators. Will not get the kills. Okay, one goes down. Two Biles completely missing here. Rookie moves. But still, these ultras continue going in. Two of them very low are going to fall. Ghost snipes coming in. Tanks in the back dishing out so much damage. And despite the closeness here, it feels that in the end, Gumiho is going to survive with just a bit too much, as Shin doesn't manage to really attack these weaker bases. GG's gonna get called as Gumiho ends up winning this. But boy, this was much closer than I think it ever should have been. Gumiho with this low eco style, no factory units practically, he's gonna win game number 1. So we see game 2 get on the way here between Shin and Gumiho. What Shin is doing over here. This is a cute move. I haven't seen this quite before. To be fair, I think this is my first ZVT that I'm watching on this map, so perhaps that's the reason why I haven't quite seen it before. Shin instantly here starts mining out these patches. These golden patches. And we'll try to get, I guess, a third base there. It's the only thing that really makes any sense. Unless he believes that this is a good angle to open up. I wonder if Gumiho's gonna scout this. Is he going to send his Reaper there to figure out what's kicking off? He's gonna get a kill there on a Ling. That's a pretty big deal. Only 2 Lings have been produced total, which is a very small amount. This drone in some serious trouble. It's going to stay alive for now. Wow. Almost no Lings here in production, and I assume that Shin has scouted what he's up against. Yeah. He's just gonna defend with pure Queen here. A pure Queen defense. So 2 more Queens here instantly on the way. We have an Overlord popping out soon. He changed his build order up compared to what it usually is. We don't have a third base yet. Okay, here we go. Attack in towards the main base. That's 3 Reapers. Potentially serious damage. But Gumiho doesn't dare committing to anything. Creep Tumor gets thrown down. We have another rotation. Now it's going to be 2-2. 2 Queens in each base. We have a 4th Reaper showing up as well. That could be interesting. See what that's going to be capable of doing. So far, not a whole lot. Lair on the way. No speed. This feels like a response to what he scouted. Shin here, because, I mean, he was keen on taking out these minerals, then saw the double barracks, and this is what he went for. This is what he came for. Queen's trying to move down to the low ground. Do we need a 5th Queen here to deal with this type of threat? I mean, this feels very scary for both of these Queens. They're fairly low. We're a couple of volleys away from them dying. This Ling now is going to get taken out. Queen's moving down to the low ground as well. Is Gumiho going to get the scout in here? No, he's not. He's going to pop on one end, pop down on the other. Love to see it. Factory. Halfway done. 3rd barracks has finished. So it's going to be a 2-base versus a 2-base play. Which is just so funny. And you know what's the funniest to me? Is that Gumiho might be doing it because he believes his opponent doesn't have a 3rd base. Like, what? There's no 3rd here. He might actually be forgetting about this base. And the fact that it exists. So, in a way, Ragnarok's mind game or Ragnarok's trick here might not be working out at all. Because of how this map is laid out. Because there actually is a 3rd base on the way right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if Gumiho tries to over-defend a little bit here. Yeah, it's a little bit too keen here on adding in another bunker or so. Probably adding in some... well, actually, no tanks quite. Yeah, it's just going to move out here with these Marines. Doesn't feel like Gumiho cares very much as to what is kicking off. He's now going to see the Roaches for the first time. 6 more on the way. Cloud Constitution is about to finish up. Here come the Reapers moving in forward. Shin's so keen on hiding these Roaches. 1 gets spotted, though. I mean, that's a huge warning. Huge red flag. Exchange is going to move across the map here. It's going to pick off a couple of these Marines. It's going to force a stim out. That's a big deal because there's not a single medevac out. With 0 medevacs on the map, every stim hurts a crap ton. He's going to be hiding here in these bushes. That seems like a fun play. Except these Roaches. Well, not even going to win so hard. Reaper's really helping out here. Both for tanking and some extra damage output. Ravagers do show up as the stim is about to run out. We're going to need to see another stim in here. She's going to give up all of these Marines. Kills 2 Roaches, loses 2-3 Marines and runs away. two fully healthy Marines are gonna get caught as they didn't get, you know, put in the same stim group, I guess. First medevac is about to pop. And here comes Shin. Can he take out that combat shield? That would be a huge deal. If he takes out combat shield, that would be so freaking big. Oh my god, it's gonna finish off. That is actually massive over here. 5 Ravagers still alive by themselves. These Marines will get pushed back. Combat shield finishing up there is actually a huge deal. Shin, however, still in a pretty solid position. He is attacking into someone that's playing a 2-base all-in. Except Shin has higher army supply, has higher worker value. Is close enough in upgrades, I would say. I'm really struggling here to see how Gumiho is going to make anything work with this particular build. Because so far this is not looking very hot at all. It really felt like Gumiho was aiming for a timing that is supposed to hit right about now. Except he lost all of his units and Shin kept, well, at least the important ones alive. Lost a bunch of roaches, which obviously sucks. We already have an attack here into an infestation pit. Infestation pit halfway done. As the CC on the 3rd gets thrown down. This is definitely a very positive game here for Shin. It's looking solid. It's gonna lose that Overlord. Sucks. Lose a couple of workers. Also sucks. Lose a creep tumor in the middle. I don't think he cares too much about that one actually. But the other things definitely do suck. We don't have a fort base quite yet. I see a drone moving over. It's gonna be the Rich Vespine Geyser base. And I like that. I really do love that here for Shin. Gonna end up losing the drone. I don't love that for the drone. Not gonna lie. Wish he could have survived. New drone being sent out, and the moment you get the Rich Vespine Geyser, I mean, you're just gonna have so much gas. Gas till the end of time, really, which is fantastic. It's fabulous. Phenomenal. Great stuff all around. It's gonna get denied for now. Love the way that Gumiho here is kind of holding this position as well. Needs to be careful though. These tanks can be double biled as they're covering the same hex over here. So if you hit the biles perfectly in the middle, you're gonna get, you know, you're gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Or 2 tanks with 3 biles. Which doesn't sound like a great deal, but it is great. Because, well, 3 biles are free and tanks aren't. Bit of a rotation here, like this out of Gumiho. Boosts 2 medevacs towards the top side. As the right side army moves further down. Yeah, Gumiho realized, I think, that there's going to be an extra base going up somewhere. And it's going to be over here. So we have these 60 Marines now stimming in. Is this enough defensively? Don't think so. Neither does Shin. Just going to move units in position. Oop, big pickup. And piss off. There we go. Going to lose 3 Marines for free. It's not the end of the world as we're going to have an attack. An attempted attack in towards the main base. Dropping tanks there and sieging them up would be a death sentence for these tanks. I think it would be a huge blunder. I hope he doesn't. I really hope he doesn't. Yeah, this just needs to be a clean pickup. Oh. There we go. All tanks stay alive. There's the first 2 Vipers now on the way. That's going to be the end for all these annoying little drops. Don't forget Shin still with a pretty massive supply lead. Really just kind of a massive supply lead. We don't have 2-2 on the way here yet for Gumiho. Gumiho's now starting his fort base. And don't get me wrong, the fort base here for Shin is also fairly late. But the fact that his army is so big, that really helps. That absolutely helps him. Gumiho seems to be just setting up in a defensive position and plenty of good tank spots here on this map. Not gonna blame him for that. What is this thing? Okay, it's just the Liberators being set up for, I guess, a later point in time. This Lib is just moving in, starting to kill an Overlord. For an attack moving forward. No tanks here, so this is completely non-committed. This is as non-committed as they come. Really. If all the tanks are at home, this is... Gumiho just wants to pick up everything in here. Kill 5 links, pick up and run. He's taking out the rocks, then realizes, no, I actually like these rocks. Oh, get a stim out. And boost towards the right side. Good time for the Liberators to go in. First Liberators being... Yep, it's being shift-clicked in. Second Liberator also being shift-clicked in. There's Ravagers in position. So this one's gonna die instantly. This one's gonna die instantly. This one surely will die at some point. Never mind. It's gonna stay alive, actually. As this Liberator's still alive as well. Gumiho dishing out a lot of damage. Shin is gonna be moving back home. We have a quad drop hitting this Fort base as well at the same time. 17 workers going down at once. 3 ultras being popped out. 20 workers. Oh, this Liberator got 13 kills total. It felt like Shin was somewhat ready for it, but not really. But he loses 22 drones. I mean, if you're ready and you lose 22 drones, I don't want to see what happens when you're not ready. 190 supply of, well, mainly army at this point, because he's lost so many workers. He's just actually gonna go for it. Doesn't have the Vipers with it. Nothing else. Seems like a lot of the tanks have gone down, though. Earlier already in one of these pushes. There's still 1 tank in the back, and this might actually be it. I guess while the Libs were going in, this army was attacking and taking out tanks. I actually missed that, and as a result, Shin is just gonna walk over his opponent. Because without tanks, I mean, this army is pretty fierce. And that's actually gonna be it. GG gets called. I'm sorry for missing that. That must have been happening. There was a lot going on, to be fair. So that must have been over here, and I missed that. I also, I guess, missed this entire position going down. Look at that. Because that was like 4 or 5 tanks. So he took a big risk here going for that counterattack. And then with a portion of the army, he was so focused over here that he didn't take care of the Libs. But he took care of the tanks knowing it could come back. Such a nice move here out of Shin. And paid off as he ties up the series. 1-1. Our third map in this best of 3 will be one that we have seen many times before, as it's Side Delta. GUMIHO'S opening up with something that I personally haven't seen a lot before. So a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. This is a Marine fast factory before command center. And it's one of these builds that I don't actually know what the purpose is. Is he gonna rush out a starport here, or what is the exact plan? I'm fairly curious. Okay, it's gonna be a starport here on the high ground. He's sending an SCV out with his triple marine force. We have Hellions being single produced. No reactor here. The barracks flies back home. It's gonna bunker rush. Shin figured this out though, because he had this overlord in the middle and his queen started walking before the bunker started building. In my mind, that just means that GUMIHO is in a bit of trouble, because these queens could just right-click the SCV. We'll need to do that. Left side queen under quite some heavy fire. Good target fire there of that queen. We'll take out 1 marine. SCV is gonna go down as the Hellions now show up. We'll start going to town on these links. How many queens are there defensively? There's 1 in the natural. That's gonna be about it. Bunker still on their heavy fires. A new SCV coming out. No, that's just a car. This marine is gonna, well, be in some trouble. Links, more and more links in production. Metabolic boost is about to finish up. It's going to be 3 cars versus a queen. Who's going to win that fight? I think it's going to be, well, so far the queen at least stays alive. Metabolic boost now finishes up, and here we go. That's going to be -0 car so far. This car in the middle is going to get 2 shots off. No, 1 shot. And 2 links will split off to try and attack it. Lift on the depots was quick enough. Not a single worker downstairs. GUMIHO so far so good, I would say. Hasn't really lost a whole lot. Yes, his bunker rush didn't go as expected, or as he wanted maybe. Now does end up losing at least 2 of these cars. Gonna lose a 3rd one if he ain't careful. And even if he is careful, maybe this 4th one's also gonna die. Every single Hellion will end up falling here, as the link flood does pay off. Doesn't get a lot of eco damage, but deals a lot of damage here to these cars. So much damage even that they all died. 3rd CC is about to finish up, as Cloak is also about 80% done right now. This was such a cool little build order here out of GUMIHO, and I really believe that if his SCV hadn't passed through the middle, that these queens wouldn't have moved out already. If the SCV would have taken this bottom path, I actually believe this base would be in some serious trouble. This would be a very, very different type of game. I can almost guarantee you that. As for now, what do we have? We have a Banshee with Cloak. Sport already done. Queen count, that isn't that high at all. 2nd Banshee flying out as a Raven now just starting. 2 more gases. Ooh. This doesn't smell double eBay though. This smells like freaking tanks. And Hellions. Yeah, he's gonna swap onto a reactor. At this point, it's so late that it can really only be mech. I love that. I really do like that. Gonna see our first, well, serious switch up here when it comes to the composition. Double armory before factory. You can make this up. So, greedy opener here by GUMIHO. Aggressive into greed. Because not having these extra factories for added in reinforcements could hurt him. 2 factories do get constructed right now. Raven plus Banshees provide high ground here on this particular Overlord. It's a lot of links here. Could actually just go for a kill on these Marines, couldn't you? Is 2 Banshees enough in that case? I'm not so sure if it is. You're gonna get the Marines at least. Yeah. Banshee's not quick enough as the Hellions run by. Links in position, just barely in position. That was close. Shin playing one hell of a game so far. 66 workers already. More and more links on the way. And honestly, he's just looking good so far in this game. He's it's been a confusing one, but it's one where Shin definitely is at least a little bit ahead, right? Yeah, most definitely. Upgrades are very close. Oh, there's one more cause here for confusion though. Which is the fact that this is mech, and oh, are you kidding me? He put a fake eBay in the wall to pretend like he's playing bio once again. Now, ideally here, GUMIHO is gonna get scouted. Ideally, GUMIHO gets this scouted. It's not happening yet, but maybe now. There's a lot of Hellions on the way, as we see the new Hurricane engines here being researched. Used to be called the thrusters, but it was not lore accurate. Gonna get a big surround here coming up out of Shin. Hellions not quite ready. No, they are. They are being controlled as well. Can shove themselves into the little corner. Do quite a bit of damage. Here comes a move up. Sees the eBay. And perhaps that's actually going to... Oh my god, that's a lot of damage here. Oh no, that is way more damage than I thought he was gonna be capable of dealing. Shin is gonna get the fake confirmation that this is gonna be bio, although the Cyclones now come out. That's going to reveal that this might be mech after all. I wonder if we're gonna see a switch out of the Muraling Bane into something else. Very often, Muras are not the weapon of choice against mech due to the existence of Pors and Cyclones, as well as Widow Mines. So 3 units that can be built from the factory. And are extremely effective against the Mutalisk. We now see a Roach Warren going down, so Shin most definitely has figured out what he's up against. We still have the double Banshee as well as the Raven. More Banshees now on the way. Banshees will be, well, I don't want to say practically useless, but they will be practically useless actually, as long as these Mutas stay alive. I don't think we're going to see a mass Muta play here. We already have an Infestation Pit, Roach Warren, and I think this is more of like a control Muta play. Because they're going to find these Banshees. Sadly, no Overseer with this army. So the Cyclones now show up. Are going to take up... Oh my god. Just instantly snipe down one of these Mutalisks. But the other bad boys are going to go towards the main. There is a turret done. As the Hurricane engines are going to get killed. That's a pretty big deal. Because that means they'll be slower. Much harder to catch these Mutalisks. Where are the Cyclones, by the way? Okay, they're going to be split up. In groups of 2. Or sorry, in 2 groups. 2 groups of 4-ish. I'm surprised we don't keep any active Cyclones in the main base. Instead, we have now a Thor in production. Tech Lab has been taken out here as well, as the Hyperflight rotor motors are going to still be researched on that Tech Lab. But Banshee production has largely stopped. There's still 3 Banshees out and about. Are of course going to be helpful against the Roaches, making it difficult here for Shin to ever really attack. Shin, however, I don't think is really eyeing an attack or any type of assault here, except just a control play with the Mutas. Just keeping his opponent kind of busy, getting some scouting information, checking compositions. Because Shin went up to 102 workers, now back down to 100, which is still a fantastic amount of workers this early on in the game. He's up about 50 supply. Now, of course, being up in supply if you have a lot of workers makes quite a bit of sense. But another good thing for Shin here is that he also has decent upgrades. So the double armory rush didn't really quite pay off here for GUMIHO. So like he has some crazy upgrade lead. Like he has an okay amount of upgrades, not some crazy upgrade lead. Absolutely not. 6th base now on the way here. We're on 10 gases already with more spine crawlers popping up as well. Greater Spire starting instantly. Did I just see a Hydra then? Okay, we have a Hydra then, Roach Warren, Roach speed, Hydra speed, Overlord speed, Baneling speed, Vipers. Some serious investments here being made by Shin, and yet he still has a crap ton of cash because his mining is just so good. Links now moving in are gonna get pushed back, as the triple Banshee threat is also going to help out here with these speed upgrades. Will be capable of taking out at least 2 of these 5 Ravagers, as long as he target fires a little bit. 1 Ravager will escape with legit a single HP. It's Pneumatized Carapace. The Overlord speed has now finished up. These Overseers will be capable of chasing Thor plus Cyclones, as well as Sensor Tower. Will, however, keep these Banshees safe. Fort base is going to be an orbital command. And we have 75 workers on one side against the 97. That makes it difficult for Shin here to take efficient trades. It makes it very, very difficult to take efficient trades. However, what makes it easy for Shin is to take a lot of trades. And that's exactly what he wants to be doing. He wants to be fighting, he wants to be trading. He's going to go up to 8 bases as he's growing rapidly here. These rocks being taken out. We now have 8 brutes on the way. There's a bit of a transition already into that full-on air army. The problem is that we already have 3 Thors with very good upgrades. Air upgrades are here. Well, we have +1, but that's it. No Carapace, no +2. So definitely an upgrade deficit here when it comes to the air units of Shin. And I think I saw 1 more Thor on the way already. Oh, actually, there was 3 more on the way. So yeah, there's 5 out at the moment. We're gonna go up to 6 at some point. I think that point... Oh, actually 1 got cancelled just now. I mean, 5 Thors with 2 upgrades, as well as a decent chunk of Cyclone changeover here. I think is just going to be capable of beating this army. Big anti-armor missile connects, as well as the Raven actually helping out here in the fight quite a bit. This Thor is distracted on the left side, but the 2 Thors in the back still dishing out a lot of damage. Wrong mode here on the Thor on the bottom, but a beautiful concave, a beautiful surround on this massive army is going to mean that Gumiho takes a bit of a lead, at least in the active supply still out on the map. As a decent bank, the only thing Gumiho is currently lacking is going to be gas. He needs gas. He really, really needs gas. And in order to get that, I think he's going to need to, well, first of all, saturate these freaking gases. That's going to be a quick tip here for you, Mr. Gumiho. You have 8 gases available, but you're only really using about 6.5. Would love to see some more mining here in these gases. I mean, oh well, it is what it is. Cyclone Hellion Banshee is going to move towards the top side to try and deal some damage, but killing a hatchery, I don't think Shin's going to lose any sleep over. We have a next scan coming in. This base is also empty. If you want to deal damage, you need to kill drones right now, but spines everywhere are going to prevent that. Shin's defensive setup is phenomenal, as now he's moving forward with Roach, Hydra, Brute Lord, 10 morphing Banelings. He's going to try and target down as many of these Thors as he can. He's getting 1 Banelings rolling in from the back, more Banelings rolling in from the side as well. So every single Thor is going to end up falling, and with a not high enough tank count, this is an absolute sweep here in favor of Shin. This base, yes, is taking a lot of damage, but as mentioned before, I don't think our Zerg player is going to be losing any sleep over losing that base, and he might not even end up losing it. To make matters even worse, 3-3 now finishes up for Gumiho, who is still just adding in pure Thor. I think the priority right now should almost certainly be on adding in a couple more tanks. Like, tanks against Roach Hydra armies are what you want. Thors are good, but they're not quite as efficient. Hellion count is good as well. 9 Hellions being built at the same time. Can, of course, morph into Hellbats as the Thors in the back dealing out a lot of damage. I don't think there's any Banshees with this army. We still have the Hellbats up here. This got cleaned up as the Roach Hydra force is now pushing in forward. There's 3 Thors out. Don't forget, these are not planetaries, which is going to make matters much, much worse. This gas is still not being mined fully. And this is turning into a serious problem right here for our Terran players. Trying to drop some of these Hellbats on top of the Hydras, while the Thors in the back are dealing with the Roaches. More and more Hellions coming in for it. Perhaps some nice pickup micro on the Thors could be possible. There we go, picks up 1. Should drop it again to have that damage output there as well. Link streaming forward will not be very helpful though against this particular army, as Gumiho is going to semi-stabilized here. It throws down 3 mules. We have 2 more Hellbats coming in. We'll take out this base. So base 7 and 8 both get taken out, but base 7 gets rebuilt instantly. Let's not forget that Gumiho isn't even mining from his 3rd. He's not mining from his main. He's hardly mining from his natural. And his 4th has 3 mules. That's about it. 31 workers to 91. Gumiho says, hey, the only thing I can do right now is go for a counter-attack, see if I can win here right now in this moment. Because in the near future, I'm just not going to have anything. Shin, not actually maxed out, only has 86 army supply as well. And I think a bunch of that army supply is even in links, which are going to be practically useless against the current Hellbat count. Tanks sieging up forward. We get a big move back here with a lot of Hellions to try and deal with these bad boys. And these Hellions should be capable of cleaning this up. Gumiho takes out a base, but taking out a base is simply not enough. He needs to kill workers and a base, and ideally some army as well. And the more time he gives to his opponent, the better this situation is going to be for Shin, obviously. Shin still out-mining his opponent, has the 90 workers, even while transferring big amounts of workers. Like, what was that, like 20 workers on the bottom side. We still see out-mining in favor of Shin. Now a couple of abducts coming in as 1 Viper gets taken out, but I think 2 or 3 big units there get abducted into this. 3 more Vipers start instantly, plus 3 range is about to finish up as well as Burrow just now starting. 4 more Corruptors coming in as this CC almost gets blasted, as here come the drops on top of the Hydras. And the Hydras just get microed back. Shin, some phenomenal gameplay here. Really just showing us everything that's on the menu today, like a cook showing off. Some Mura play, some Brute Lords, quick tech switches from here, there to literally everywhere. High eco playstyle, and definitely working out here against the mech that Gumiho showcased to us today here on site Delta. It's Gumiho on 36 workers. Really just about to be destroyed by Shin's relatively primitive army. I mean, this is not a good looking army. First of all, they're ugly, but also just not an army that looks very strong. But in big enough numbers, even they can take on the Terran. Wouldn't surprise me, if we see some brutes here. Corruptors by themselves don't make a lot of sense, and this is probably going to be the final tech switch that will be necessary here for Shin, as he switched back and forth between air and ground multiple times. And now is going to, put the final nail here in the coffin of Gumiho. I think these 2 Thors are the only serious anti-air available. And against 9 brutes with Viper support, I don't think that's going to be enough. Like, you pull 1 Thor in, you kill that with your Roach Hydra. Then you use a cheeky little Blinding Cloud. We also have +2 at this point for the Brute Lords. Not great. It's not terrible either. +3 melee upgrades. Yeah, GG is just going to be called here. Shin wins game number 3 and thus wins these series after an interesting build order here on this map by Gumiho that didn't entirely work out. Shin in firm control of the game. Countered the mech properly with Muras into Roach Hydra, into Brute Lords, into Roach Hydra, into Brute Lords again. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy this. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see all of you next time for a new video. Bye bye.